Aloha to the hui. I'm going to go ahead and read it. If you guys watched me, I was on about an hour ago where I read the first half of the prosecution's closing arguments. I had to end it because I'm working. And now there's just a little bit left that the prosecution had to say. They took a break, and now we're going to continue where we left off. This was at 3:31 p.m. today. They're back. Judge Summarian asks prosecutor Slavic how much more time she has. She says 1 hour. Jury enters. All rise. Slavic begins speaking. She's showing a chart. I expect that the judge will instruct you on forced labor. You've heard of forced labor of 4 women, Cassie and Jane, and Mia and Capricorn. So in case you don't know, Mia is a victim who testified under a pseudonym. That's not her real name. And Capricorn is Capricorn Clark, who used to be an assistant for Diddy, who experienced all kinds of stuff and saw all kinds of things. Cassie and Jane, it was grueling sexual services. Cassie called them grueling, up to 4 days long. So these freak offs would be up to 4 days, maybe even more. Jane said the same thing. Cassie and Jane were on call to perform freak offs for Diddy whenever he wanted, wherever he wanted it. He used force and threats of force. He would say, "Let's finish on a high note. Let's push through. You're not tired, are you?" It took weeks to recover from these freak offs. That is forced labor. Thank you very much. KK kept setting up hotel rooms and flights. Let's turn to Mia. She worked for Diddy, finally at Revolt. She went 5 days without sleep. I forgot about that. He made her work 5 straight days without sleeping. That is crazy. Combs also sexually assaulted her. I'm so swiping up the wrong screen. She was clear as a bell, even under cross examination. She performed labor and services, including sexual services. He threw her against the wall and slammed a door on her arm. She saw violence at Prince's party and on Turks. So we're talking about Mia right now. She was one of Diddy's victims who testified. So that was her pseudonym. That is not her real name. She was with Cassie when they went to Prince's party. Diddy saw them, so they ran away, to which Diddy grabbed Cassie outside and started beating her behind a bush. And Prince's bodyguards saw, stopped it from happening, and then they left. So we're talking about Mia. Mia was with Cassie when that happened, and Mia was an assistant for him that he kept up for 5 days. And she claims that he also SA'd her 3 times while she worked for him. When they were in South Africa, KK told Mia, if you don't call him in 10 minutes, you don't have a job. He, as in Diddy, has all of the power and control. Mia knew she couldn't say no, even to little things. Mia knew that her job was to protect the defendant. HR was for Combs. Mia couldn't go to the police due to Combs' power. The threats left her with no options. I expect that you're going to hear that she could have left, that she told Diddy she loved him. Mia pulled no punches. There were high highs and low lows. Capricorn Clark had an issue with overtime. She took the issue to the head of HR, Vashta Wilson. But HR was Diddy's puppet. Diddy and Uncle Polly's one of his security guards, threatened Capricorn Clark in Central Park and the lie detector. And she was taken to Kid Cudi's. Capricorn Clark had a son to provide for. Diddy threatened to blacklist her. Now, witness tampering and obstruction after Cassie filed for her lawsuit. This weaves the whole story together. Jane wrote, "You gaslit me." Jane posed the problem for Diddy. So Diddy called Jane. The calls were recorded on KK's phone. That's how he was recording it. You can listen to them. On November 19th, 2023, Cassie's lawsuit was already settled, but he is afraid of a criminal investigation. So he calls Jane and asks, "What can I do to make you feel better?" As he's recording that conversation on KK's phone. Damn. Diddy says, "I can't be speaking on the phone." He is worried that the US government will get 3 years of his text messages with Jane. While he's recording the call, he tries to convince her that she was willing. Diddy says, "We just did some kinky shit. I thought we both enjoyed it." Do you hear on that recorded call the sound of notes being taken with a Sharpie to plan how to get what they want Jane to say? You've seen that in this trial, the lawyers passing notes to each other. So what she's talking about is Jane says that she can hear while she's talking to him on the phone. That's what makes her think that he's recording the call. Is she can hear a Sharpie writing on a piece of paper while he's talking to her. That's why she believes he was recording her, because he was trying to get her to say that everything that they ever did was consensual and that she was never coerced, because he already knew he was in trouble. So she was just asking the jury, do you hear that sound of the notes being taken with a Sharpie as they played that recording back to the jury? Then Diddy had D-Rock reach out to Mia asking her to say something. Mia told you her reaction to this call, that she had seen Diddy bash in Cassie's head. D-Rock saw it too, and he was asking her to agree to lie. As the federal investigation grew, they kept reaching out to Mia. Oh, Diddy's team kept reaching out to Mia. D-Rock calls her 5 times in a row. The chart Ms. Sankar presented to you bring this all together. So Ms. Sankar was another special agent, and basically she called to the stand and they had a chart of like all these conversations and text messages and exhibits. For those who are wondering, oh, sorry, this is in quotation. This is Inner City Press that's saying this. For those who are wondering, here's how Combs' family looks in the courtroom, courtesy of Inner City Press from Elizabeth Williams. Here, let me see if I could show you guys. Oh, shit. Hold on. Sorry. Where did I go? Anyways, though, there it is. Okay. This is the 2 daughters. So this is the twin girls right here. That's the twins, and then that's his other daughter, Chance. That's Janice, and then the brothers. So they, because it's in federal court, they're not letting any recordings happen. You can't have any pictures taken. You can't have anything, and so they're only relying on sketch artists. All right. Getting back to Slavic. Diddy's conduct towards Mia is also obstruction and witness tampering. Also, obstruction, the video of the intercontinental assault. It's bribery, but it's also obstruction. Finally, the venue. We only have to show an act in this district. It doesn't have to be criminal. SDNY, Southern District of New York, includes Manhattan and the Bronx. Count number 2, freak-offs in Manhattan. Count number 3, freak-offs, Jules to the London Hotel in Manhattan. So they're saying for count number 3, we've proven it by showing you that Jules was transported to the London Hotel in Manhattan. Count number 4, Jane was brought to Manhattan for a freak-off. You have spent 7 weeks listening. A lot of the evidence was hard to hear or see. You heard from Kid Cudi, whose house was broken into and whose car was burned. You heard from Regina Ventura, Deontay Nash, how he ran the enterprise with total control. It is time to hold him accountable. It is time to find Diddy guilty. And that's it. And then the judge says, we'll continue tomorrow. Do not watch or read anything about the case. All rise. And they get excused. It is officially adjourned. Wow, wow, wow. We're done. Okay, so let's talk about, if you guys, after this live is done, by the way, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. I'm going to bring you guys all the Diddy news, accurate Diddy news. Who I just read to you guys was from Inner City Press on X. Sorry. Here, this guy. Inner City Press on X. He is a journalist. He's an independent journalist. He's there every day and he transcribes in real time everything that's being said in the trial. So we're getting facts. We're not getting BS, that crap you hear anywhere. Okay. So let's talk a little bit about what happened today. I think that the prosecution gave a kick-ass closing argument because what they did is they went through, they listed, this is the counts, these are the crimes that were committed, and then they went boom, we proved it to you here with this, we proved this to you, we proved bribery to you, we proved kidnapping to you. They said this is bribery, and then they go back and they talk about the witnesses. I think it was George was one, and then Flores, they were the ones that was at the hotel, and Diddy paid off, I think it's George, paid off George $50,000 for that videotape. What he didn't know was that Flores recorded the security camera with his own phone and had a copy himself. And that's what got sold to CNN, and that's what got played in court. If you guys haven't seen that video, you can watch it. I have it on my page. So they proved bribery. And I think the prosecution was very, very, very smart. And now the jurors have to take what was said and they have to deliberate with that. Now, tomorrow is when it's going to be Diddy's defense team's turn to go ahead and plead their case. Here's the deal. Here's how I would feel if I was Diddy. I'd be pissed. You know that man is paying over $100,000 a month on his defense team. He has 10 lawyers representing him in this case. He's paying over $100,000 a month. You know that they're closed, not even their closing. When the prosecution rested their case and now it moved on to Diddy's team that they could defend him, they spoke for like 10 minutes, 20 max. And then they said, we rest our case. I would be pissed for the amount of money that he is shelling out to these lawyers. And this is their defense. Granted, they didn't have a defense. They didn't have any witnesses to call. Diddy testified that he wasn't going to testify for himself. So they have no witnesses. They had the most basic of exhibits. It was text messages between like Diddy and Jane. But I feel that they did a horrible job of representing their client, of representing Diddy. I would be pissed if I was Diddy. All that money, because I believe he's going to get found guilty because the prosecution did a really great job of proving everything that they said they were going to do. Now, what Diddy's team is doing is they're just going to straight up ask for an acquittal, which to me I feel is so lazy. And as much as I think Diddy's guilty and I think he deserves to go to prison, I still think he should have been represented a lot better, especially for the amount of money that he is shelling out to these people. I'd be pissed. I would expect so much more. 10 minutes, you guys talk for 10 to 30, 20 minutes. When it was finally his lawyer's chance to finally take this, to be on the helm and take control of the room and finally like direct the jury as to what type of narrative they wanted. They spoke for 10 to 20 minutes and they had some text messages. How sad is that? That's horrible. That's horrible. And so what they did is they just said, we're going to go for acquittal. We want this whole case acquitted. Okay. And so now tomorrow, it's going to be their chance to do the closing argument. And what they're going to do is they're going to paint everything to be domestic violence. They're going to paint everything to be like Cassie and Jane Doe was just his girlfriends and they consensually wanted to have sex with him and he was just a swinger and blah, blah, blah. And they're really going to minimize and downplay. But the prosecution literally just pointed out, don't forget, we had this witness, this witness, this witness. We had this exhibit, this evidence to prove this case and this charge and this count and this and this and this. They killed it. They killed it. They literally talked for more than all day. It started at 10 a.m. and their last one started at 3:45. So it went to at least like 5 o'clock. I sure hope for Diddy's sake, for shelling out $100,000 a month on your lawyers, I really hope they have a better closing argument tomorrow than they did when they rested their case. Some interesting facts I would like to mention. So we found out today that KK made $600,000 a year. $600,000 a year. As Diddy's chief of staff. That's a lot of money. For doing what? For managing Diddy? And another thing I want to mention, man, the prosecution mentioned Christy KK so much today. So much in their closing argument. All they talk, I'd say half of the time, they were talking about KK. KK this, KK did that. KK was a part of this. Rico, KK, KK. I 95% believe they're going to be bringing charges on KK after this case. Guarantee. That's my personal thoughts. Anyways, thank you so much to everybody who joined. I really appreciate you. Please hit that subscribe button. Um, I am bringing to you all the factual Diddy news, only the facts. And next week, as soon as Monday, they're going to start deliberating. I mean, it could be as soon as tomorrow, but I would hope that Diddy's team equally takes a whole day to try to defend their client for $100,000 a month. They better be doing something for him. So starting Monday, and I know that they want. No, I would I would have nothing to do with Diddy. I'm just speaking uh, logically. If anybody was in that position and you're shelling out that much money, I would expect to have a better defense team than that. But anyways, Monday is when they're going to start deliberating on the verdict. And I know that the judge and the prosecution has been really wanting to have this done by the verdict in before 4th of July. And I'm sure that the jury wants to go home and not have to do this anymore. So I'm sure they would probably want it before the 4th of July, which is next week, Friday, I believe. So we're going to find out. I'm going to keep you guys posted. Please hit that like button. Please hit that subscribe button. I really appreciate you guys. Thank you so much for tuning in, and I will see you guys soon. Aloha.